The EV industry in India is projected to grow at a CAGR of 26.05% to reach a market size of $110 billion by 2029. After days of rigorous research, I've come to an understanding that EVs are definitely solving a huge problem, and at the same time, they're also the most viable solution when compared to all the other alternatives. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you my findings about the EV industry and which stocks will I be looking at for prospective investments. The objective of this video is not at all to give you any stock recommendations, but to help you garner complete insight into the EV industry so you can make confident and informed investment decisions. If you're new here, then do consider supporting this channel by smashing that subscribe button. Imagine a world where the northern hemisphere becomes abruptly cold, where the lush green Amazon rainforests transform into arid landscapes, where your favorite coastal regions submerge underwater due to rising sea levels, and where storms and hurricanes wreak havoc all across the globe. Well, I'm not exaggerating. The speed at which ice sheets are melting in Antarctica and Greenland has become so high that it is disturbing the delicate balance of our planet's ocean currents. For those of you who don't know, these currents transport heat, carbon and nutrients all around the world's oceans, and by doing that, they sustain the marine ecosystem worldwide and also aid in maintaining climate stability. Now, scientists have issued a warning for the world. They've said that as these ice sheets melt, the influx of fresh water into the ocean is altering the density of seawater, which in turn is jeopardizing the stability of these ocean currents. Scientists project that by 2050, a 40% slowdown can be seen in these ocean currents, and that will really get us close to the consequences which we are not at all ready for. But is melting of ice sheets the real culprit? Well, it's not. If you get into the root cause, then you will find out that it is actually the excessive carbon dioxide emissions which is raising the average global temperatures. NASA has confirmed that 2023 has been the warmest year on record for our planet. So the problem that we need to solve is not the melting of ice sheets, but the high CO2 emissions that is heating our planet with greenhouse effect, and as a consequence of which the ice sheets in Antarctica and Greenland are melting faster. Currently, 49.1% of the electricity in India is still generated by using coal. At the moment, nearly all vehicles on Indian roads have internal combustion engines, that is ICEs, which run on petrol and diesel to power the vehicles. If we look at the carbon emissions data, then 46% of India's total carbon emissions comes from the power and the transportation sector. No wonder India is prioritizing on these two sectors to solve the carbon emissions problem. In the 2021 United Nations Climate Change Conference, India has committed to increase the renewable energy installed capacity to a whopping 500 gigawatts by 2030. At the same time, India is also part of the global campaign EV30 at 30, which aims at taking the share of electric vehicles to 30% by 2030. These two solutions go hand in hand. Why? Because EVs that are charged on coal electricity reduce the carbon emissions by 63%, and EVs that are charged on renewable electricity reduce the carbon emissions by 92%. For the sake of today's video, we are only going to focus on the EV sector. Currently, the share of EVs in India's total auto sales stands at 6.38%, and in terms of number of units, 1.5 million EVs were sold in 2023. Now, if we segregate the EV sales into different segments, then 90% of the EV sales came from 2 and 3 wheelers, 5% came from passenger vehicles, and the remaining 5% came from commercial vehicles. Now, these numbers are actually very far from the projected figures. NIPFA projects that the volume of EV sales will cross 16 million units by 2030. Also, Niti Aayog in one of its reports mentions the target EV adoption for different segments, which is as follows. From this table, it is quite evident that 2 and 3 wheelers along with commercial vehicles will be the major driving force for growth in the EV industry. So as per these targets, focusing on B2B sales in the near term will help the EV players to gain momentum, and also businesses that have high transportation cost will be adopting this technology first because of the lower operational cost of EVs. This is the reason that companies such as Uber India have planned to incorporate 25,000 EVs into their cab fleet by 2026. Similarly, Zomato aims to electrify 100% of its delivery fleet by 2030, and Amazon intends to add 10,000 EVs to their logistics fleet by 2025. At the moment, the EV ecosystem is at a very nascent stage in India. There are a lot of challenges that need to be overcome. Let me share with you 5 of those challenges that I feel need to be addressed in order to accelerate the growth of the EV industry. First and foremost, there is lack of education about EVs. People simply tend to see the high initial cost of EVs and they bring a halt in their buying decisions. The thing is, EVs can easily make up for the high initial cost because the operating cost of EVs can go as low as 1 rupee per kilometer. Also, some proponents believe that green hydrogen powered vehicles may be the killer for electric vehicles. But studies by Cambridge professors such as David Sebon have now concluded that even if one uses green hydrogen to power a vehicle, it takes 3 times the electricity to make that hydrogen than it does to charge a vehicle battery. So hydrogen powered vehicles cannot replace electric vehicles. Secondly, the cost of battery packs for EVs is very high as of now. The thing is, electric vehicles are mostly powered by lithium-ion battery packs. Now, India unfortunately does not have any lithium reserves which can be actively used to make lithium cells. So at the moment, all of the lithium cells in the country are actually being imported and Indian manufacturers are just welding these cells in order to make battery packs. This is the reason for high cost of lithium-ion batteries in India, which thereafter becomes the reason for high initial cost of EVs. Now, there is a news that lithium reserves have been found by Geological Survey of India in Jammu and Kashmir, but it will take a lot of time to extract the same with relevant technology. Thirdly, there is a lack of charging infrastructure in the country and the current electricity grid is also not optimized for the high energy demand that comes from charging EVs. There are only 12,146 public EV charging stations in India and the total number of registered EVs stand at 36,68,544. This means that for every 302 EVs, there is just one public EV charging station. This number is 20 for US and 10 for China. This gives you a good idea of how far we are from achieving a reliable charging infrastructure. Due to this particular challenge, people who use EVs always have a range anxiety when they travel intercity. Moving on, the fourth challenge is low service revenue for EV dealers. So electric vehicles have less number of moving parts and so the maintenance cost of EVs is substantially lower when compared to ICE vehicles. On the contrary, since EV is a new technology, the cost of an EV technician is on a higher side. What this does is that it reduces the incentive for a dealer to push more number of EVs than ICE vehicles. So it is important that incentive for a dealer needs to be improved through value-added services such as accessories and software updates. Last but not the least, the fifth challenge for the EV industry is the unattractive financing options. Unlike ICE vehicles where the loan-to-value ratio can go as high as 95%, the loan-to-value ratio in case of EVs is just 65 to 80% at max. Also, the loan tenure on 2 and 3-wheeler EVs is on a lower side, that is a maximum of 3 years in most cases. And at the same time, lending agencies charge 1 to 4% higher interest on EVs when compared to loans for ICE vehicles. Now, I feel that these numbers are quite justified as well because unlike US where there are aggregators like CarMax where you can buy and sell second-hand electric vehicles, in India, there is no organized secondary market for EVs. In China, companies such as BYD have literally made their EVs in such a way that people refer to them as software on wheels. They have really advanced infotainment systems that are fast and reliable to use. People were surprised when karaoke became a defining parameter for a better EV. What had happened was that Volkswagen had launched their EV in China, but it had a buggy infotainment system and did not have features such as karaoke. This made Volkswagen to lose their market share to BYD, and the last resort they came up with was to sell their EVs on steep discounts. So EVs with better software will definitely have an edge over competitors. In US, the existence of secondary markets has really helped to push the sales of EVs. There are players such as CarMax, Carvana and AutoNation which allow people to buy and sell second-hand electric vehicles. What's surprising is that there is also financing option available to buyers of second-hand EVs. At the same time, EV players such as Tesla have really advanced navigation systems where they show the destination route as per the availability of charging stations, and this feature is really helpful when going intercity. When we talk of Taiwan, then Gogoro Inc. has made a remarkable battery swapping ecosystem for two-wheeler EVs. They remove the need for hours of charging by simply offering subscription services to swap batteries on the go in a matter of seconds. They've gained huge success in Taiwan with the current infrastructure allowing 4 lakh battery swaps on a daily basis. Good thing is that Hero has also partnered with Gogoro to bring this technology to India, and pilot testing has already started in cities such as Delhi and Goa. Mr. Nitin Gadkari, in a written reply to Lok Sabha, mentions that the battery swapping policy in India will aim at creating a framework for greater interoperability. Last but not the least, in both UK and China, sodium-ion battery technology has gained good momentum. The best part about these batteries is that sodium is readily available on our planet, and that too at a much lower cost than lithium. UK-based Faradian Batteries, which has been acquired by Reliance Industries, has already developed sodium-ion batteries that can be used for low-speed electric vehicles, e-scooters and e-rickshaws. Even in China, Hina Battery has already started making sodium-ion battery for EVs at a scale. Volkswagen-backed JAC Group has partnered with Hina Battery to roll out the first sodium-ion battery-powered passenger EV in China. This technology on scale will really help to lower the cost of EVs in the long run. So now it's time to feed your curiosity. Before I unveil the EV stocks that are on my radar, do like the video and hit that subscribe button if you would love to watch this type of content in the future as well. I've shortlisted 7 stocks for this list, wherein the 7th one is not directly related to EVs but is crucial for the success of EVs. Keep in mind that it is your homework to study the financials of these companies and consult with your financial advisor to evaluate the viability of investing some part of your portfolio in these high growth stocks. The first stock in my list is Exide Industries Limited. Exide is already the top player in India for lead acid batteries. With a growing need for lithium-ion batteries, companies investing heavily in setting up a 12 gigawatt plant in Bengaluru. The first phase of this plant will be a 6 gigawatt facility where the total project cost will be 6,000 crores. Company has already secured 2,000 crores in a line of credit from banks, and it is also using internal accruals to fund this project. They've collaborated with S-Volt China for the technical know-how, and they've already secured orders worth 600 to 700 crores which they'll be fulfilling in FY25. The addition of lithium-ion batteries to its existing lead acid battery portfolio can bring a huge improvement in revenue in the coming years. The second stock in my list is Tata Power Company Limited. Tata Power is actively working towards bettering India's EV charging network. It has already installed 5,344 plus public EV charging stations and 690 plus e-bus charging stations across 479 cities. The company has also signed an MOU with Indian Oil Corporation to set up 500 plus fast and ultra fast EV charging stations across multiple IOCL retail outlets. The company is also actively partnering with state government bodies to deploy charging infrastructure locally. Recent partnerships have been done with Kanpur Municipal Corporation and Assam government. The company is targeting to set up 25,000 plus EV charging stations by March of 2028. Next up is KPIT Technology Limited, which is one of the fastest growing automotive software company in India. They have been able to develop sodium-ion battery technology, which they'll be licensing to other EV players in order to manufacture and commercialize this technology. On the software front, KPIT has ready-to-use software platforms for all EV components, be it inverter, battery thermal management, charger, or vehicle control unit. In a way, it helps EV players to reduce the time to market. Currently, 74% of KPIT's revenue comes from the passenger vehicle segment and 24% of the revenue comes from the commercial vehicle segment. One of the coolest things, according to me, that KPIT has done is making a strategic investment in Endream AG, which is one of the early movers in the casual car gaming space. Now, we saw earlier how software had helped BYD to beat Volkswagen in China. KPIT is one such company which will help the EV players to get ahead in the software side of things. Moving on, the fourth stock in my list is TVS Motor Company Limited. TVS is involved in the manufacturing of both two-wheelers and three-wheelers. Due to being a leading player in the two-wheeler market, they have an advantage of a strong distribution network. After Ola, TVS has the highest number of two-wheeler EV sales in India. Their iQube electric scooter have been a hit in the market due to uncompromised speeds and high range. The company has also invested 250 crores to make TVS X, which is a premium high-speed electric scooter, which according to TVS will be a good fit for the exports market as well. At the moment, moment, TVS already has 28% of its revenue coming from exports. To strengthen the exports revenue further, company has partnered with Grupo Q for distribution in Central America and Emil Frey Group for distribution in Europe. Moving ahead, the fifth stock in my list is Mahindra & Mahindra Limited. This company is one of the most diversified companies in India. It is currently the number one three-wheeler EV player in India and has sold more than 140,000 electric vehicles. Undoubtedly, the company is a leader in the last mile mobility space. In 2024-25, Mahindra is expected to disrupt the passenger EV market in India, and there is already so much buzz in the automotive market due to their futuristic designs and features such as edge-to-edge infotainment systems. The first passenger EV launch as per their investor presentation will be done in December of 2024. Even though the automotive industry is cyclical in nature, but due to the push of EVs by the government, there seems to be a huge potential for Mahindra in the coming 5 to 7 years. The sixth stock in my list is Sona BLW Precision Forgings Limited. Sona BLW, also known as Sona Comstar, is a global automotive systems and components manufacturer. It is among the top 10 starter motor and bevel gear supplier in the world. It supplies its products to OEMs across Europe, US, India and China. The company has been aggressively growing its revenue from the EV segment. You can see here that the share of battery electric vehicle revenue was only 14% in 2021 and now it has increased to 28% in FY24. The company has been consistently winning new orders and their net order book has now reached a size of 24,000 crores. In one of the interviews, the MD and CEO mentioned that in the past 25% CAGR growth in revenues has not been an issue for the company. The strong R&D team of Sona Comstar helps the company to come up with new innovations, and it acts as a strong backbone to sustain the high growth that the company has witnessed in the previous years. Last but not the least, the seventh stock in my list is Power Grid Corporation of India. Power Grid is a government-owned company mainly involved in transmission of electricity pan-India. The company, though not directly involved into EVs, is vital to support the power needs of the growing EV charging network. As of now, the installed power generation capacity from renewable energy is 189 gigawatts, and India is aiming to take this installed capacity to 500 gigawatts by 2030. It would require integration of this new renewable electricity into the grid so that transmission of the same can be done at consumption points. This is where Power Grid will play an active role by optimizing the existing transmission network to support the growing energy needs of our nation. So there it is. These are the 7 stocks that I'll try to accumulate in 2024. The EV industry is ripe for extraordinary growth, and the government is also supporting that through FAME policies and PLI schemes. One should definitely look at EV stocks with more seriousness and not miss out on this opportunity. I hope this video was able to give you valuable insights into the EV sector. Remember to always do your own research and consult with your financial advisor before making any investments. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for my next video.